And we're live.
Let's talk about fishing today. And that with everybody, that's why we're all gathered here anyway. Well, new lakes. Most people, the hardest part, the thing that they struggle with the most is breaking down a new lake. Furthermore, a lot of people even struggle not necessarily with a new lake, but breaking down a lake that they already fish currently. This is the reason why most of the time when you're breaking down a new lake, or even if you're fishing the same place weekend after weekend after weekend, we all know those lakes never stay the same. They almost always change. The water gets high, the water gets low, the water gets dirty, the water gets clear. There's a lot of boats on the water. There's not that many boats on the water. It rains, it's cloudy, it's sunny. And we always have to adjust to that, which seems real easy when we're here talking on Facebook or we're talking right here in the app. But when you get out on the water, it's always really hard. There's only one way to make that easy, and we have to come up with a simple, easy to remember process that we can use to break down new water. When I started last year in November, we had a fall fishing academy within the Straight Up Fishing app. And the number one thing that we went over was how to break down a new lake. And so that series became so popular and so valuable to so many people here in the app that here we are 7 months later, still doing lake breakdowns. And we'll do them as long as until everybody gets tired of it. We'll continue to do lake breakdowns because at the end of the day, that's what everybody's trying to do is trying to figure out how to catch fish. So that's what we're going to do tonight. But the thing that's most special about the lake breakdown we're doing tonight is this is not going to be my lake breakdown. This is not a lake breakdown I'm doing. It was a request for me to figure out, a request for me to share my perspective on it. The most important part that you need to remember about breaking down any body of water is there's thousands of ways to look at how you can catch a bass there. There's thousands of ways to catch a bass on any given body of water. And so we have Mark Jonas and Kevin Skavinsky. They're going to break down a lake that they're going to be fishing in Wisconsin, and they're going to show you all the information and how they arrived at how they're going to attack this body of water. So we'll look at how they break down the lake today, and then also maybe after they fish it, we'll look at what worked and what didn't work, so we can get some valuable feedback on how things work out for them. Now, before we do that, I know we have a lot of new members that have joined the app within the last couple of weeks or so, maybe the last couple of days. One of the most valuable parts of the app has been the Ask VLAT section of the community section on the app. That's where you can just ask any question that you have about fishing. And so this week we got 3 or 4 questions that I wanted to address here in the app. Some of them I've already made videos about or workshops about, but I want to reiterate them because I know not everybody has time to view some of the workshops. Some people tune in more to lives because it's more interactive and it's in the evening a lot of times. So I know this is the time that you're in the app and watching what's going on. So we're going to answer these questions again. Our first question is from Eric Zenke. I wonder if I say that right, Eric. Is it Eric Zenke or Eric Zenke? The country in me wants to say Eric Zenke. I don't know if that's the way you want me to say it or not. And we did talk about this on a live earlier, but I just want to reiterate it again. So Eric Zenke, he's asking about, he says, Brian, what rod would you use for deep diving crankbaits? Would you recommend a long composite graphite glass rod to get the distance on the cast? And which rod by level would you recommend? So this one, for me, I only use graphite composite rods for cranking, chatterbaits, and lipless crankbaits exclusively. The only way that I won't use a composite rod for crankbaits, for lipless, or for a chatterbait is in the event that I'm fishing on a kayak or if I'm bank fishing, because I have limited rod selection when I do that. Or I prefer when I'm in my kayak, I don't like to have any more than about 3 rods. But I know some people carry more rods. If my rod selection will allow it, I'm going to have a rod specific for cranking. And it's going to be a graphite composite rod. And for deep diving crankbaits, I would say 7.2 and larger, anywhere between 7.2 and 7.6. Anything on 7.6 starts to get really goofy to me. But that's what I would use. Also, we need to identify what a deep diving crankbait is. The deep diving Spro rock crawler is about the deepest diving crankbait that I've used in a very, very long time. Like I will use some deep diving crankbaits for, it's just one of those baits that I just don't use that much very often anymore. I probably should pull them out because nobody's doing that anymore. So yes, graphite composite almost always. If I can't get a graphite composite, it's going to be a medium, moderate graphite rod. you want a medium Moffett, medium Moffett. Get you one of the medium Moffetts, by God. You want a medium Moffett rod. The one that I like from Level is their 7.3. They have a 7.3 or maybe a 7.4, but I feel like it's a 7.3 medium moderate. That'd be a good forgiving rod for you to throw a crankbait on. And then my signature 7.2. It's not on the streets yet, but it's going to be very soon. The 7.2 graphite composite that I made is dude, it's going to be sweet. That is the lightest graphite composite rod that I've put my hands on so forth. That's always been the downside of graphite composite is a heavy rod. Glass is heavier than graphite, so a graphite composite rod is going to have quite a bit of weight to it, but it's really light. This question is from Nathan Sipes. Nathan Sipes says, "Hi, Brian. I want to try a couple Toyota series next year as a co-angler to get some experience on different lakes and different regions. I know I want to go to Florida just for a bucket list trip, but I also want to go to the Northeast to catch smallmouth, and I want to go to Texas. So where should I start?" Well, Nathan, that's pretty easy. You said you want to go to Florida, you want to catch smallmouth, and you want to go to Texas. So I want to say, let's start off with Florida. Southeast Division is where they're always going to start off in the South. The Florida, they're always going to start off in the Southeast Division. So you're going to probably go to Kissimmee Chain. I can already tell you what the schedule is going to be for next year. You're going to go to Okeechobee, you're going to go to Kissimmee Chain, you're going to go to Seminole. I don't know what order those three tournaments are going to be in. That's where you're going to go. Pick the one you like the best. For the experience, I would say Okeechobee would be the coolest. Best chance of catching a bunch of big fish, I would probably say Harris Chain. And then lastly, Seminole is kind of probably not going to be the best co-angler experience in Seminole. It's going to be a lot of forward facing there, so I don't think you wouldn't enjoy that in Seminole. From a co-angler perspective, I'd fish Okeechobee or Harris Chain. Texas, I want to say they may have a Texas division or Southeast. What do they call it? Maybe Central. It's probably going to be the Central. Central usually goes to Sam Rayburn, Toledo Bend, or somewhere like what's the Texoma or something like that. Just look at the schedule, sign up for those tournaments. As simple as that. I would do the Toyota Series. That's the best tournament for you to fish regionally. It's a bet for anybody. I highly recommend the Toyota Series over any other AAA division tournament series. By far, it's the best one for you to fish. If you want to fish Texas, where else did you say you want to go to Northeast? Fish the Northern Division. I already tell you what that schedule is going to be. It's going to be Potomac River. It's going to be Champlain. It's going to be St. Lawrence for 2026. It ain't out yet, but that's where they go every year. For the experience, go to Champlain. There ain't nothing to talk about. Go to Champlain. Champlain has big largemouth. It's got big smallmouth. It's got big water. It's going to scare you. You're going to get wet, but you're going to catch fun. You're going to leave with a cool experience. And Plattsburgh is one of the coolest places in New York to go. All right. Last question, and then we're going to jump into this late breakdown today. This one was from Kara. This question was so good that I ended up doing a whole workshop in the app about this one. This is from Kara. Kara asked about fishing line. And Kara says, "I'm not proud of how little I know about fishing line, if I'm being honest. When I talk to people about line, they sound like a teacher in the Charlie Brown to me. Basically, everybody makes fishing line complicated, and I agree with you 100% there. I'm curious to know what y'all's thought are on straight braid for top water lures. Does it depend on what type of top water lure? I'm mostly looking for advice for whopper, ploppers, and spooks, but I'll take any tips you have." Okay, Kara. I talked about this in the workshop in the app, but let's tell everybody in the metasphere in the Straight Up Fishing app about what they need to do with their fishing line. Very simple. I don't have that much fishing line, guys. When it comes to braided line, I only have 3 freaking sizes: 10, 30, 50. Now somebody's going to say, "Well, Brian, which one did I need to use for buzzbait?" 10, 30, 50. If you're throwing it on a bait caster, I would only use 30 and 50. And really, I could throw that 30 away and just use 50. Let me tell you why. 50 is going to be a lot easier to use on bait caster because the bigger diameter doesn't backlash as much. And then when you do backlash, it's easier to get the 50 out than it is the 30. If you try to spool up that 10-pound test braid on a bait caster and you get a backlash, buddy, it's going to end up really, really bad. You're going to do a lot of cussing. You're going to be very frustrated. It's going to cut in itself. It's going to dig into the spool. It's going to be very difficult to deal with. So if you really want to be honest, you can even simplify it more. You need 10-pound test braid for your spinning rods. You need 50-pound test for your bait casters. Now, Kara, my question for you is: are you throwing whopper ploppers and spooks on bait casters? If the answer is yes, 50-pound test braid. Don't need no leaders. Don't need no special FG knots. Don't need no ABC 123s. Tie whatever you tie, straight to that lure. Don't talk to me about leaders. Okay? All right. Spinning rods. All right. I know you're going to find a bunch of different things, and even I have special situations where I don't use braid on spinning rods. But listen, let's simplify it. 10-pound test on your spinning rods. Across the board. I'm down here fishing for redfish and speckled trout and flounder in Florida on my spinning rod. Ask me what pound test line I got on it. 10-pound test. I'm going to take the same rod to the James River. I'm going to take the same rod to Pickwick. I'm going to take the same rod to Florida. Take the same rod to Texas with a 10-pound test spinning line on it. No matter where I go, where I fish, how big the fish is. 10-pound test. So I gave you 2-pound test of braid. 10, 50. All right. Now, let's jump to fluorocarbon. On fluorocarbon, I've even got more simple too. On fluorocarbon, I only have, let's see, I've got 10-pound test fluorocarbon. I got 15. I got 20. Get you 3 for everything. All of it. Well, Brian, what about my Texas rig? All of it, cuz. All of it. 10, 15, 20. Well, how do I know which one to use? Which one helps you put it in the cover or wherever you put your bait the best? When I go to Texas and I'm flipping bushes, am I going to use the 10-pound test fluorocarbon? Absolutely not. I'm going to use some common sense, and I'm going to use the bigger fluorocarbon because I know I got to get him out of the sticks, guys. If I got open water fishing, I'm skipping docks with a Nico rig, I'll use the 10-pound test. Heck, when I was at Hartwell a couple weeks ago, and when I was at Pickwick, I was throwing a wacky rig and a Nico on the 15-pound test on the 10-pound test braid. That's all you need. Don't complicate it, and don't let these people Charlie Brown you to death. Make it easy. Y'all ready to break down some lakes today? Huh? Let's keep it moving. So, as I told y'all, when you're breaking down a lake, you know this by watching tournament results. The way that I say is a good way to break it down. It doesn't mean that's the gospel truth, and that's the only way to do it. So I'm glad this is the first time we've ever tried this. I got Kevin Skavinsky, I got Mark Jonas here. I think you're already up on the screen. What's the name of the lake y'all are going to, folks? Fellas, not folks, but fellas.
So we got 2 lakes that we're going to hit pretty close to each other, Redstone and Dutch Hollow. They're both pretty different.
Dutch Stone and what was the other one you said?
Dutch Hollow.
Dutch Hollow. I said Dutch Stone. Dutch Stone. Oh, all right. So if y'all been in the app, we have a very, very, very super simple way to break down lakes. In fact, it's so simple that you'll want to make it more complicated than it really is. All we want to know about any lake that we go to is what does it have to offer? And what I mean by that is what structure is in it? Does it have grass? What species of fish is in it? Does it have docks? Is it predominantly rock? Is it deep? Is it clear? Is it dirty? Is it a river? Like, what does the freaking thing have to offer? The analogy I used last week is what's on the menu. Mm-hmm. So when we go to a new restaurant, think about new lakes the way you think about restaurants. When you go to a new restaurant, you ever been walking downtown and you look, they have the menu posted on the door, and you look on the door and see what the restaurant has to offer is what we do, right? That's what you're going to do with these new lakes. Find out what they have to offer. Number 2, you figure out what do the fish eat there. That's the most important part. We're in nature. Nature is about survival of the fittest. So if we can figure out where they eat and we know what they offer, we got a really good starting point. And our third thing is just what's familiar. What do we do when we go to a restaurant? You go to listen, for me, I'm from the country. I didn't grow up eating like Mexican food, Asian food, Thai food. I didn't grow up doing that. I was in my 30s before I ate all that kind of stuff. I know that sounds crazy. We didn't go nowhere. A big deal for me was going to Atlanta in the summer. Okay, 2 hours away. So I wasn't introduced to that. You know what I had to do? I looked at that menu and I said, what's familiar? What feels like home? So when we look at that menu that we created from any new lake, we want to look at it and see what looks familiar. What's something that I've caught fish on before and I feel very confident in? What's an area that would allow me to use a bait or lure that I'm very confident in? Those are the only things we're going to do. We're going to figure out what the lake has to offer. We're going to figure out what the fish eat. We're going to look and see what feels familiar. That's going to give you a great starting point on any lake. Okay, now I'm going to let Kevin and Mark take us away, baby. Take us away. Yeah, let's go. So what did y'all find out about these two lakes?
So we picked these lakes because there are two lakes that neither of us have fished before. They're kind of in between us. We live about an hour away from each other. And just to preface that, we met in the app, we met at the retreat, and we just like we live so close, so we got to go fishing. So
Right.
let's just pick some lakes we haven't gone before, and let's break them down.
Cool.
The Lake Redstone kind of came up because next year I want to. I've been looking around at some bass clubs that are local and things, and this Lake Redstone, there's a bass club called Tri-City, and Redstone is on their lakes that they like to fish, and I've never been there, so this is a great way to, break down the lake and figure out some stuff.
Gotcha. So where should we start? I know Kevin, you got a lot of stuff to show us, and let's you want to start? Did you guys end up using that kind of little process? We should come up with the name for that. A straight up fishing something. I don't know. We should come up with something cool to call it. The straight up fishing process, baby. The menu. I don't know what we need. We need to call it something. I think it's so simple. It's so simple that it's almost insulting. like my 6-year-old could do it. Matter of fact, he does do it actually sometimes. He doesn't know he's doing it, but he does do it. So bring me into it. Tell me about it. Let's see what we got. Tell me what y'all come up with.
So,
tell us about the lake.
We originally jumped into first thing was DNR, see what's available, see what that site could tell us. Then we used Omnia and Google Earth.
Gotcha.
If Michael wants to switch, I can switch the screen over to
oh yeah,
Omnia here.
Perfect.
All right. So this is the first one we'll do, Redstone. The lakes are a little bit different in the fact that Redstone, as far as water clarity, is a really heavily stained lake, which for around here is pretty uncommon. Typically, they're very clear, or the northern part of the state has tannic water.
Okay.
From the DNR site, we found out that there is no smallmouth.
What? Really?
No smallmouth in this lake, and there are very few weeds.
That's very unusual for any northern fishery, isn't it?
Very unusual.
I've never been up north and not seen weeds.
Right.
This place is going to be the Dead Sea. Hey, when you said that no weeds and it's dirty, what is this, a catfish hole? Yeah. Okay.
According to DNR, there are bluegill and panfish and largemouth. And
wow.
Yeah, and I'll switch over to vegetation, but that's the least amount of vegetation I've ever seen on a Wisconsin lake.
Never in my
On a
life.
northern lake.
So what's the history like? Is there any other lakes on this? Is this like a river chain, or is this like one of those natural lakes up north where there's like no river fed thing, or how does that work?
I don't believe there's a dam at all, but you can see
natural.
there is a river that feeds into both ends of it, that feeds and drains.
Okay.
But given the water clarity, that kind of what that tells us is, well, these fish are going to be up shallow.
It have to be. Yeah.
Going to be up shallow.
At least an option. At least it has to be an option,
For sure. And then you'll see when I switch over to Google Earth, there are a lot of docks. So our initial thought is, well, let's go hit the docks in the weedy areas.
Yeah.
Because that's where we feel the bluegill and panfish will be, and
right.
likely their food source too. And Mark, feel free to
So
cut me off and jump in anytime too if you want.
Yeah, I guess my notes here, we got three creeks go in and out of this Lake Redstone. Um, some of the other things that this lake has to offer, there's one bridge, there's one really long rock wall on the south end. Lots of pockets, lots of docks. Um, One thing that's kind of neat about this lake, or lakes that are in Wisconsin, there's a lot of these sandstone walls that um, that almost form a lot of the border of Lake Redstone. So, and they can get real tall, but it's not like what we saw at Russell and that type of thing. It's just the board. Some of the border of Lake Redstone are just these giant rock sandstone walls. So
right.
and those can go down pretty deep too. So that's going to be some spots that you might want to fish with
Yeah.
crankbaits or something like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you said stone, my mind automatically goes to crankbaits. I don't know why, but that's a
Yeah.
comfort thing for me. For somebody else, it'll be a jig. For somebody else, it'll be, whatever, drop shot. Yeah. That's where my mind went.
But I'm kind of excited for all the pockets because most of these pockets that are in there, there's multiple docks on them, and at this time
Yeah.
of year, um, our water temp's around 65, and I caught some bass yesterday that still had some pretty good bellies on them. So I think that they're really close to shore right now too. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like pre-spawn, getting into the spawn up here, I think,
Right.
and I think they're going to be in these pockets.
Probably so, right? They don't have much choice, it sounds like. So, well, I didn't let you finish, but is there any other thing that the lake has to offer? You said the sandstone. Would you say, do we call those sandstone? Is that what you call it? Soapstone, sandstone,
Sandstone is what we,
sandstone. It's kind of
yep,
white looking rock, kind of chalky looking rock.
can be, yep,
Yeah.
can be really dark too.
Okay. So you got the
Yeah,
stone, you got docks.
yep.
How about wood? No wood?
There's some laydowns that you'll be able to see on Google Earth.
Okay. Yeah, there's three things right there. I guarantee there's no way if they're pre-spawn, they have to be on one of those three things. And it has no smallmouth.
Right.
So, huh. This is interesting. Now I'm interested. You piqued my interest with the sandstone deal. Okay. So what else we got?
So I think, initial looking at spots, um, I like the creek arms, the ones that are holding the weeds, and I don't know, the contour isn't working as super well, but also in the flatter
The
areas
flat
of
ones.
those
I like
because
flat. Yeah.
it's like Mark said, well, it just said water temp on for whatever this updates is 59. So I feel like they're definitely in that spawn coming up range.
Yeah. I like flatter pockets in the spring personally. Water warms fastest.
Hmm.
They always, they have more room to spawn in. And then if this is going to be dirty water, like what you said, then I like flatter pockets. Doesn't mean you won't catch them in those ditchy pockets, but like here at home, our minority species use the ditchy pockets, like the spotted bass. I would imagine I don't get to fish spawning smallmouth very often, but I would imagine they probably use sharper contours too. But I don't really know because I never get to do it. We always go in the summer.
It's honestly it's puzzling with smallmouth because sometimes, um, like on Saturday there was one up shallow next to some bluegill beds, but then also I know guys that are catching them in 15 feet.
Yeah, probably got a lot to do with water clarity.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Dude, so can you tell me something about those docks? Are those docks fixed position or floating? Or is it those crazy looking steel docks that y'all have up north with the little steel legs?
Yeah, they'll very likely be floating or one with like the steel legs, ones you can take in and out because or with the ice, you can't. It's really hard to have a permanent dock because it'll just be
Uh,
the ice will just destroy it.
oh, dude, they get on those stupid steel leg
Oh
docks
yeah,
like crazy, bro. They get on
absolutely.
those things
Yeah.
so good.
Most of all of our docks that they use up here, they got like wheels on them, so you
Yeah,
can hook
yeah.
them up to a
Yeah.
vehicle and pull them in, pull them out. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? At Champlain, I got on a pattern in a Toyota series 2 or 3 years ago where I was catching them on those wheels. Like
Oh,
they were legit on the wheels. Like no, like they were on the wheels. They were on the stupid wheels. And sometimes you know those wheels are only what 12 inches tall or so? Probably 12, 14 inches.
oh yeah.
Did several times the wheels were like not covered in water.
Hmm.
Not covered in water.
Hmm. Wow.
And this is a July tournament in Champlain. I say that because I'm typically, in my experience, most of the northern lakes are pretty congruent. They're all pretty much the same.
Right. Typically. Um, but yeah, with this one, like if you look at the pockets, even where it says, I mean, it says that there's some weeds for Wisconsin Lake, you can see just a little bit that's in there. I'm trying to zoom as much as I can, but that for a Wisconsin Lake, that is very rare just to see these tiny patches of weeds.
So there is something in there, but it just must be one of those deals where it's just only in certain spots.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think there was one of the things that I researched was this comprehensive study of this lake done, I think in 2022. And I think the weeds that are in there, it's like milfoil, some type of a milfoil. And, but yeah, it's not, there's not much in there. I'm not,
Yeah,
it is goofy
yeah,
for our
Yeah.
lakes. Yep.
So that's what make it that much more fun to go check out.
yeah, yeah. That will be interesting. I guarantee you, whatever little weeds is in it, they're going to be on it.
Right.
They're going to be on it.
Right. Yeah, I think getting back into these pockets now, just so everyone else can and know, but the choosing which pocket, you look at there's a lot of arms and a lot of offshoots of this. Go back to Omnia where it showed where there were weeds. Those are the ones weeds with the flat contours. That's where we would hit first for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Anywhere it's flat. Brandon, there's tons of docks on this place, bro. Look
Oh
at
Oh yeah.
that. Like it is,
That's what I'm
holy
kind of
smokes.
excited for.
It's something I've learned fishing tournaments, guys, is whatever the predominant structure cover. I know people get crazy about the structure of cover in a lake is almost a guarantee to be a bite on it. Like there's a deal for that. Whatever like when you go to Russell, you remember both of you came to Russell, right? Kevin, you didn't get to come to Russell this
I
time,
gotta
did
get
you?
some this year, Russell.
All right, so when you go to Russell, Mark will tell you there's point. Like I could say, all you guys need to do is fish points, and you look across like, bro, there's points everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's and
Everywhere.
it's point, bro. It's points on the boat ramp. It's points on the picnic tables. It's points in the pockets. It's points on the points. It's points on the islands. It's points everywhere. But guess where the fish are? They are on points.
Hmm.
And so, like, when I look at this and I see all these docks that y'all see, there's just it would be hard for me to believe that you're not going to catch fish on docks.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that's the best way to catch them, but I'm saying it's just hard for me to believe that that doesn't exist on this.
Right. And to figure out, what docks of all of these to start with, I would look at the contour lines.
Ah, yeah, great.
See what docks are maybe in a flatter area, given the time of year. If it was summertime for us, if we're talking July or August, I'm going to look at the docks that have steeper contours,
Yeah,
so they can get to
yeah.
that cooler water. Now, again, if we had smallmouth, that'd be for sure, but um, and then I believe this is one of the walls that Mark was referring to
It's
as
one of the
well.
limestone, soapstone.
Yeah.
Okay, that one right on that point right there,
Hmm.
or yeah.
it's kind of hard to see from Google Earth. I actually stopped at this lake, way down at the south end, where I think it says Redstone Beach. I'll have you kind of look at that. There's one really long rock wall, and then that goes down, and that goes down into one of the, it says like Lake Redstone Waterfall area.
Okay.
And if you look at to the right of that rock wall,
that's the soapstone.
There's those like forks of that land that come. That's all that sandstone, and
okay,
that comes out of the water, 20, 30 feet high.
Yeah.
So that's kind of in it, looking in that area specifically, because that's all I could see from walking down there. That's kind of what we're dealing with there.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of laydowns in there. What's that?
Do you remember what end of the lake the area?
The south. That would be the south,
sorry.
very south end.
Okay. That's that kind of stuff. We have a couple lakes. It's not.
There you go, Kev.
It's not sandstone, but the shaky head and Ned stuff works good on those, like any kind of rock too. I guess we'll get to that point in a minute, though.
Yeah, that's it, Kevin, right there.
Yep.
So those, like where your cursor is, if you go to a little bit of the right, right of the wall, that whole area is where that sandstone structure is. Yeah, right there. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so that'll be interesting to fish that.
Yeah, I think depending on what the water clarity is, it'll have a lot to do with what lures you fish there. When I get stuff like that and fish like spawning / pre-spawn, I really like a jig head and plastic, whatever that looks like for y'all. But if it's more pre-spawn, I like more reaction based. But if they're starting to set down, by set down I mean like kind of getting that pre-spawn. Dude, in my mind, there's different levels to the pre-spawn. And when we say pre-spawn, I feel like you got to break it down into a couple things. It may work a little different up north because your fish have to spawn so fast.
Yeah. Like
here it's a little more romantic. They kind of take their time with it. But you got a pre-spawn that starts like January, February where I live, where they're eating cranks and spinner baits and chowder baits. That's a pre-spawn deal. All the way until you get, depending on the year, to like March. And then there's a pre-spawn, like after March or so, maybe even February, depending. There's a pre-spawn where they're not spawning, but reaction ain't the best way to catch them. It's like the jig head and the plastic. Like when we were at Russell, a lot of those fish are pre-spawn. Some of them were spawning, but a lot of them pre-spawn on those points and stuff. And like reaction baits kind of don't work the best all the time. It's not saying you don't catch them on it. It's just not the best. Sure. It's just not the best. When they start to kind of settle down and start doing this thing where they're high in the water column, looking for sun, and it changes a little bit. This is interesting, but that water, you say it's going to be dirty, but that water looks clean, man.
Yeah, that's what's confusing about Google Earth with showing that, because Omnia shows it's dirty, and then when I've looked on other parts of the internet, just of other people fishing that lake, that water is like a really greeny brown.
Okay.
Yeah,
water clarity is so subjective, dude.
Yeah.
Because people talk about our lakes being clear, like Russell is clear, but it really ain't that clear though. Like it's clear, but it's not Champlain. It's not St. Clair.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that water looks like you'll be able to do every normal thing that you would do anywhere else to me.
Right.
I don't think anything special about it, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I mean, like look at that beach down here. You can see the sand on that beach way out. There's a beach on the Google Earth image.
This picture is this water on Google Earth looks really clear compared to when I stopped at that area this last weekend, or I think it was Sunday, Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember. But it was it was pretty stained. I wouldn't say
Okay.
like Sinclair,
Chocolate
like
milk.
mud water,
Yeah.
but it wasn't too far off from that.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen
Not
that up
not
north.
not really with the um like the mud
Not sediment
color
filled.
that you
It,
had down there.
yeah.
Yeah. But
It's
I
not.
mean it was still pretty thick. Yeah.
So Mark, have you fished Mississippi River at all?
I've duck hunted the Mississippi.
But you've seen the water, so you know like how it
I
has pockets of clean and pockets of kind of dirty, pockets of something like it's sort of
Yeah,
like that, maybe
dirtier.
dirtier
I
than
think it
that.
was
Yeah.
I think it was dirtier.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really odd, isn't it? Really odd.
Yeah.
I've seen the black water up north, like where it's just tannic looking.
Titanic, yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen that, but I've never seen like actual sediment filled dirty water up north. Up on even on Champlain, like around Ticonderoga, it can get a little stained in places, like a little dirty,
Hmm.
but still not that dirty.
I think the spinner bait and the chatterbait's going to play a role.
Hard not to, man.
This
Yeah.
last weekend, it was I was throwing a buzz bait and a frog, and I was, those were working. So, yeah,
Yeah.
and just the baits with the thump.
Hey, so hold on. If I'm remembering correctly, Mark, didn't you catch him on a buzzbait at Russell?
I did.
The old boy likes to get dirty and nasty with him.
Yeah,
He likes to
I
get
found
explicit.
it was
Yeah.
kind of funny, everything that I really try to watch a lot of your videos and stuff to prepare for that tournament because I'm coming from so far away. So I
Yeah.
kind of really wanted to have a game plan. And it's like, I went way, way north and found a whole bunch of pockets, and I started throwing a spinner and a buzz bait, and I found the largemouth. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I know how to do this. So I picked the tournament day, I picked that whole area apart as much as I could. And when it was raining, I threw the spinner bait. And when the rain stopped, I threw the buzz bait, and I just kept that pattern the whole time. And I did all right.
Yeah, you did
So-
good. That works there. You know why I always send people it's always sketchy sending people to the stain water when it comes to fishing like a lake like Russell or any of the lakes, really. Because really and truly, that fishing like what you're talking about, you did is a lot more precise. It's a lot, it's a lot harder. I don't know how to say it. It's a lot harder. And if that's not your deal, it's really hard to send somebody to do that and get them to catch more than maybe 1 bite or 2 bites a day. But if you can hold a freaking spinning rod, I can get anybody catch them on shaky head in the net. I know this from guiding. Like when I used to guide, I would never take anybody shallow largemouth fishing because you got to put that bait right by that lay down, and it's got to land just perfectly, or you don't get the bite. And not that many people can do that. It's really truly honest. Not that many people can do that. But anybody like my son, I can just take him just blindly, just flip the freaking swim bait anywhere around the boat. Something's gonna come get it. So there's always I always try to. I know the best chance of people catching fish and have a good time is go to Clearwater and Thailand and shake your head and swim bait and something and a jerk bait, and you're gonna catch some fish. But I'm glad you got on to that though, because it's a good way to catch a big one there too.
It was fun. Oh yeah, I got my personal best. I broke it there, and that was the day prior to the tournament, and I got that 5 pound 1 ounce largemouth. So that was pretty cool. That was on a spinner.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, dude, that was a good job. So we kind of jumped to that third point. If y'all are listening in the chat, I haven't been paying attention to the chat. You see how Mark was talking about when he came down to Russell. Keep in mind, he's from Wisconsin. He was all the way down here, 20-hour drive probably.
Yeah,
Catching
wasn't that
fish.
much.
16. Man, to me, hey, it's 20 to me. If it's over 12, it's 20. It's a whole day. He comes all the way down here to Lake Russell. Clearwater is probably the polar opposite of anything he ever learned fishing. But he found water that's familiar to him. That's why I was talking about when you look at that menu, look on there just like you would do at a restaurant that you've never been to before. You look at all this crazy stuff. It's got calamari. It's got tuna steak. It's got mahi mahi. It's got all this stuff. A lot of y'all already ate that. That's because y'all been exposed and well traveled. Okay, whatever. Somebody in here living in the country like me, and you ate everything, and you see cheeseburger and fries. Give me that. You gotta do that sometime, man. You got to do that, and that's an exaggerated analogy right there. But try that when you're somewhere that's unfamiliar. Look for something that's familiar. Okay, just do that. That's what Mark did, and it worked for him. Broke his personal best just by doing that. Remember that part. Okay, let me jump out. Let me jump out of the chat because I'm gonna make it last longer than it needs to. All right, y'all keep going. This is good stuff. This has been my favorite live, by the way. I should have did this a long time ago.
I would say, for before we move on to the next lake, I would say the last thing I do doesn't happen until I get to the lake, and we go to a spot that may have the flat that has the weeds. Well, then I always look at the weeds, and
Mm-hmm.
are they the right
Mm-hmm.
kind of weeds? Are they the right color? Is there life there? Usually, the first thing I check is there life there, whether it be panfish swimming around or minnows or ducks or loons or whatever it may be. Is just if there's life in a spot, that always a good sign. If the ducks are eating the weeds and everything else, but if they're not, and the weeds look a little brown or a little off color or just too slimy, then
Slimy weeds, yeah. Up north,
yeah,
y'all have that slimy weeds, like when you bring your bait through it, it gets the snot on it. That what you're
yeah,
talking about? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hate
Yeah, I
that
know.
snot.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, yeah. So, hey, can you dive a little deeper into that for us all, though, Kevin?
Sure.
You mentioned I look at the weeds to see what are the right kind of weeds. What does that mean? What is you did, but let's do that again. Let's say that because that's really important. I want people to
Yeah.
really know exactly what you're talking about.
So bet because I don't know my types of weeds, but I can tell
I
you
don't either. I
the
don't either.
two.
It don't matter. Yeah.
I the best way I can probably explain it is I look for the weeds. Like if you ever put together like a fish tank or had a fish tank, you go to the store and you just saw like the good clean weeds and um there's a little bit of space in between them and
Yes.
they look green and lush and not too o overgrown and just look right.
Hmm.
Those are the ones. It's a visual. It's hard to explain. It's like a visual thing for me. It's like, oh, like I know like that. Those are the good weeds.
I like what you said about the aquarium because that does make sense to me. When you said that, immediately, like I saw bubbles, clear water. Like I saw aeration. I thought
Yeah.
oxygen, full of life, little fish swimming around in it. And so I agree. Like when I look at the grass, I like the space in between. Like where I can see grass. Like even when we're fishing right now. By the way, I'm fishing for trout and redfish. We're fishing eelgrass, and anytime we get around the grass that looks fresh, clean, the water is cleaner, and it has a space in between with sand spots. That's where all fish are.
Hmm.
Sand, just sand holes. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And then if you get to around weeds that are off colored or really slimy or even smell and have like blue green algae on them, which looks it's like a shiny blue, get out of there. That's
Oh,
um, blue green algae is toxic, but it just means there's nothing living there.
okay, gotcha. That's good to know. Good to know. Okay, I wanted to double down on that because I thought that was a really good part that you mentioned there.
Mark, do you have anything for Redstone?
No,
Anything?
I guess in our step process, what do the bass eat? That part of things. The forage fish seems to be crappie and bluegill.
Hmm.
Is
Okay.
apparently there was a study. One of the things that I saw in 2010, there was a lake study and they found some blueback herring. But
What?
yeah, but they don't. If you read through the thing, they're like somebody probably put them in there illegally. And this last study, they didn't find any. So it was like from 2010 to 2022, you know, and they didn't see anything when they did the whole electroshock stuff and, you know, and the netting. But so that was kind of interesting.
Hey,
I must have brought it back with me when I came back from Hartwell a couple years ago.
yeah.
I'm getting
So
trouble
like,
for that.
so is Redstone, is it clear? Or like what about it? Like is it
No, this is the
dirty?
dirty.
This is the dirty one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
do good in dirty water. They
Yeah.
need open, clear water.
Yeah.
The bluebacks to survive.
Plus, I don't know if it's a big deal or not, but this lake also has northern pike and muskies, so
Uh,
I'm sure they feed on those too and probably clean them out,
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. They
depending
eat
on
everything.
how many they found in there. You know, I don't know they don't really go into the herring thing too much in the literature that I was looking at.
That's wild. I didn't even know they could live in water that froze over like that too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I have.
Amazing.
So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else we got here? So this is still on Redstone. Is now? What about the? Are we? Is there any other findings on this lake, or have we come up with a plan of attack? Obviously, we talked about fishing docks, what weeds they have. What about what looks most familiar to both of you guys for this lake?
It'd be docks and weeds.
Docks and weeds for you, Kevin. How about
Yeah.
you, Mark?
Docks and pockets really for me.
Pockets.
I think my idea is there's a boat landing up on the northwest arm of this lake, and there's a lot of good things in that area that I think would be a great starting point. There's a bridge at the one of the creeks that come in. There's a bridge right there. I think it's the only bridge on the lake. And then there's a bunch of pockets and a bunch of docks in that area. I think that would be a good point to start, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see the good amount of weeds in some of these pockets and down in here.
There's
Right.
there's something right by the boat landing that goes across the water. I don't exactly know. There's like a
Let's see.
I'm trying to
like
think
here?
of
Roadbed?
yeah, right there.
That's a roadbed.
I don't know what that is.
I think that's a roadbed.
Is it okay?
I think it is.
So that might be something to fish too.
Mm-hmm. Probably a broken bridge, a roadbed.
Yeah.
Something like that. But you know, like this time of the year, I bet I would like to think not, and then with having if it's dirty and there's no smallmouth, probably maybe not. But this summer, I would definitely remember that. Yeah, I see that what you're looking at. I think that's a bridge or a roadbed, or it could be some type of power thing. Because look at the land. Look across the land.
Yeah.
No, those are just power. That might be just power line, fellas.
Oh, that could be. Yeah.
That's just power lines. There's nothing in the water. You're like overhead power lines.
Okay, I got you.
That's what I think. But that's the whole thing about Google Earth. You might not be able to tell what it is, but when you get there, you'll be able to tell what it is. You just know that you need to maybe see what's going on here. I think it's power lines because if you zoom out and you look across, I think that's the power lines going across the lake.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How about so it sounds like obviously we're gonna be fishing docks. Mark's already been fishing a buzzbait. You said buzzbait in a spinnerbait or buzzbait in a frog you already caught some on?
This weekend was my first frog bite up here. I've been waiting for it around June. That seems to turn on with the lakes that I fish here. And I got had the buzzbait going again. So
yeah. Hey, were you in the app when we had Bobby in here doing frog talks?
I've watched that twice.
Oh my God.
I watched the video. Yep.
I hear it in my sleep sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to. I probably should do it like a ask people, but I want to. I hate to have the same people over and over, but I feel like I could have Bob because you can't take in all of Bobby's information in one sitting,
No.
and I really like want to have him again. One, I hate to keep bugging him, and then two, I don't want everybody to think, well, he probably just has the same people over and over, but it's too good.
Yeah.
It's too good, man. It's the best. He's the best fishing teacher that I know. Like,
He has the sound effects all down.
yes, the sound effects. Like I tell people all the time when I introduce him, I was like, I have caught 20 to 25 pounds in every single one of his seminars. I feel like I got
Yeah.
him on when I get
Yeah.
when he does his thing. I feel like I have the fish on. So yeah, his stuff is good, man. What Bobby is the best. I don't care what anybody tell you. I'm not gonna say any other names, but a lot of people lay claim to being the best frog fish. Bobby is the best frog fisherman. He's him, dude. He just really is. I mean, he is. Just because he didn't fish, like pro level. Well, he fished pro level stuff on West Coast, but like since he didn't fish like national tournaments, whatever. No, Bobby's him. He's as far as I'm concerned, he's the GOAT of it all. Nothing else to talk about with me. So yeah, I'm glad you've seen that. And he's got other stuff like on YouTube and the internet too. Like I'd look up that stuff. I follow him on social. He has some good stuff there too. All right.
Hey, if I can interrupt real quick, just those
Yep.
the power lines. I zoomed in on my end to Street View, and it's power lines coming
It's
in.
power
the
lines.
neighborhoods.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. Overhead
Gotcha.
power lines. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So are we gonna jump to that next lake real quick?
Yeah. Do that one real quick.
Okay.
So, it's only about 15 minutes away, but exact
really?
opposite. It is a very clear lake.
Okay.
This one's called Dutch Hollow. Oh, too far.
Smallmouths. Hey, how do y'all pronounce smallmouth? I love to hear Canadians go smallmouths with those F's. I mean,
Small A?
I love
Oh,
them.
you get
Hey,
those smallmouth.
smallmouths on tubes. I love it, dude. Oh, rats.
So Dutch Hollow, actually, weird enough, this is another real unique lake.
Okay.
According to DNR, there are only largemouth and walleye in this lake.
Another only largemouth lake.
Yeah,
Okay.
go
Yeah,
figure.
the DNR website, they don't even like list any other fish. Like
Really?
what do they eat?
No panfish or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually found if you Google it and if you believe the AI search, there's a largemouth, walleye, northern pike, and bluegills and crappies and that type of thing in there too. They also
Yeah.
have a fathead minnow. That seems to be the according to this the primary forage.
Okay. Yeah, I know what those fathead minnows are. We have them here. They're like a little baby carp to me. To me, that's what they look like, a little baby carp.
Yeah.
So, how about like access to any of these lakes? Is that going to be an issue? Because I know some of those northern lakes, like you don't get to just pull up to the ramp and put in. Is that going to work? That can be like a thing sometimes, like special permits and all that kind of stuff. And
These lakes, I mean, they seem to have a decent enough launch, and there weren't any horsepower restrictions on them,
yeah,
so we should be okay.
we went to. I remember one time in New York, I went to this lake, and they washed your boat off before you put it in the water. They wash it off before you,
Oh,
when
yeah.
you take it out. Like all that. I was like, dude, I want to go home. Leave me alone. Yeah. So I don't know if any of that stuff is going to be an issue. All right.
There's especially northern Wisconsin and in that Michigan Upper Peninsula area. There's plenty of lakes where they're just like that, and like you can't use any lead, and they have
Yeah,
a lot of rules, but the fishing is just holy smokes.
it's
So,
really good. Yeah.
yeah.
Take me to those places, bro. So, all right. So this was deep and clear. You said right.
Yep. And because it's clear, we got a lot more weeds.
You got my attention off the bat, bro. I love flipping weeds.
Yeah.
I dream about that because I don't have that where I live. This it's so crazy. Like I don't have grass where I live. You know what my favorite thing? If the lake has grass, I'll have like a 50% chance of having a better result there at the tournament. I don't know why that clicked all of a sudden. But I love fishing grass, dude. Love it.
Yeah.
Does it say
That
what
and
type
lily
of grass?
pads.
Pads. Oh, flipping a pad? Oh,
Hmm.
I love, that's one
oh,
of my favorite things to do.
bro. When you flipping them pads and it's and you can do that little lift and it's going, oh, oh, take me, Jesus. Oh, I love it, bro. Love that stuff. All right, let's go. All right, so we got a lot of weeds. We got clear. What else do we say?
We have a good amount of docks and laydowns.
Okay,
Not as many docks.
we got that on. Yeah, there it comes. Yeah, it's not as many on this one, is it? Hey, but listen, if you got docks and you got grass,
Yeah.
them shade
And
pockets where the holes are.
Right.
this lake, I actually found out from a coworker of mine fished it last year, and um, he says that there are very steep ledges in this particular lake too, uh,
Okay.
with pretty straight walls on them. I don't exactly know how this one was particularly formed, but supposed to have some big ledges, and that's what they fished the day that they went.
Okay. Yeah, that with what you tell me, it sounds a lot like Cayuga. Y'all, are y'all familiar with
Oh,
Lake Cayuga in New York? It sounds
yeah.
like that. That's
Yeah, it
what it
does.
sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Champlain, like a little baby Champlain.
Yeah. Now, given the time of year, I don't know if do you think they'll be on those ledges or be more on in this grassy
Pockets.
Yeah,
pockets.
Yeah.
flats. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine with it being deeper, it's got to be cooler water. That would be flats and edges of the weeds. I would um have to be right. Like, how could it not be? It's probably and with it being deeper and steep like that, there's probably some rock somewhere. You know.
Yeah, yeah, I usually look at the Lowrance app for sometimes that shows rock, but I did find um on Google Earth it's really
They,
nice riprap point slash wall,
yeah.
which if we hit this lake first and want to get some walleye in the morning, they are going to be right here
Let's see where. Okay. Why do you think? Why is that?
because just that riprap point and the
Okay.
time of year, they'll be up shallow on that
Okay. They get on that. They get on that rock. They like rock. Walleye like rock.
for springtime. Yeah.
Yeah. They spawn on that or something.
I don't know if they spawn on it, but it's just in that, especially in the early morning, they just love to come up on this and just feed
Okay. When do walleyes spawn? Do they spawn in the
early.
spring?
Early.
Early.
They're
Okay.
They're
early.
early.
They're a
Yeah.
lot earlier than bass.
How do you target those? Like spawning walleye.
They go really, really shallow, like up creeks. Like,
Oh, they go into
yeah,
okay. Like
I
smallmouth do I heard too.
they can't, yeah.
Okay.
I grew up on Lake Erie in Buffalo, and as you can imagine, there is just a one creek, 18-mile creek that feeds into gigantic Lake Erie, and the
Right.
wall will be shoulder to shoulder in that creek. Now you can't
So
catch them then, but when
yeah.
coming out, you're just in 10 feet of water with a minnow and a jig head, and you and 700 boats, and you're just getting them. Yeah.
So I heard about this when I fished that Pan American on the St. Lawrence. We fished it in October one year, and there was two rivers on that section, the St. Regis and some other river. And the guy told me that all the smallmouth go in the St. Regis River, wherever, and it's on the Native American territory, so nobody can fish it. And
Right.
they all go in those rivers. Like every smallmouth in that section of the river goes to those two rivers. And so
Yeah.
we were fishing the flats at the mouth of those rivers. And you could catch, listen, we all know St. Lawrence is chock full of fish, and you can catch fish anywhere. You could only catch fish in the mouth of the St. Regis River. Like
Yep.
they were all funneling into those rivers. And he said, like in the spring, right now, basically, they all come out and they catch them in the rivers. They spawn in there. That's wild to me.
Yeah,
Like,
we have a cabin up in northern Wisconsin, and it's right on a river. And all the smallmouth, like you said, come up out of the lake and they just come up the river, and they're just feeding on minnows like crazy. I mean, you just see minnows running, chasing, and they're just popping and getting them. Insert the popping sound that
yeah,
makes that they just
yeah.
go nuts. So you just throw like a 3-inch minnow around, and and they're big too.
Give me that, man. We have too much hard stuff where I live. I want easy. Like, I would love to my goal in life is to get old and follow around easy. Oh, saltwater's easy. We're doing that for 2 months. Oh, the smallmouth are easy. Doing that for 2 months. Oh, they're biting a shaky head on Lake Russell. Doing that for about 2 months. Like
Sure.
I get like 3 months of easy, and then the rest of the year is just scratching fingernails on a chalkboard. Suck. It is horrible, bro. Like from now on, like I don't get to have no more fun. It's over for me. Like unless you do something else,
Yeah.
go night fishing, go to like what I'm doing now. But like me, far as me, I mean, you can go catch fish, but like, dude, you have to work so hard. Dude, I'm old now. I don't want to work hard to catch them anymore. I hate that. Anyway, back to the lake breakdown. Okay, so where were we? We're talking about what it's got to offer here. Talking about this little bit of rock. We got deep weeds. We got deep water. We got clear water. We talking about maybe fishing some of the flatter stuff.
Mhm.
But there's not much information on what's the fish eat in this lake. But is that right?
It
The flatheads, minnows.
yeah,
Flatheads.
the flathead seems to be there's supposed to be yellow perch, bluegill, and crappie in there.
Hey, that perch get around the grass though, don't they?
Oh yeah.
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 They live
It's
there.
got to be rock bass maybe too. No,
Could be.
should be.
Could be.
Should be rock bass. Yeah. You know what I love about this? We did 2 lake breakdowns, and in all reality, you're going to be able to do the same thing that you talked about on the other lake.
Yeah.
Same stuff. Like it my approach probably wouldn't be very much different. Just looking at what we know so far in what 10, 15 minutes. Not much different.
I think bait choice will probably change a bit just because of the clear water.
Right.
I'm thinking can still flip, but also throw a drop shot on.
Yeah. A drop shot I like in that clear water like that. But flipping up north, dude, I went to a lake in Vermont with Jody White, St. Catherine or something. It was gin clear. It was a lot like what this sounds like.
Hmm.
Flipping weeds with a 3/4 ounce jig, black and blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it was just I'm talking about it clear as toilet bowl water. Unused toilet bowl water. Clear.
I picked out some pockets. There's smaller pockets with docks, but they're right off the main lake
Yeah.
and they're flat. So I kind of figured those might be some good spots to check out as well.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I think so. Anything flat is always fair game for me. Yeah, I think that flat. Um, if you can find any flats on this place, like big, you know, how we talked about like is there any rivers that feed it or anything? Any creeks or rivers that feed this one?
I don't know this one. I don't
I
believe so. No.
think I think there's one. I think no,
No.
it's
Yes.
it's mainly spring fed, I guess.
Is that a dam at the very top right of the screen right there? I think you already were up there. Was that a dam somewhere right
This
there?
no, I think that's a field with a big rip. Actually, I want to show you a big rip wrap wall. Looks like that's like a farmer's field.
Okay, so this is a natural lake again, isn't it?
Yeah,
When we say deep, what's deep up north? Because like my deep is not the same as your deep.
probably anything. What do you think, Mark? Past 50?
20, 50. Okay,
I yeah, I mean, we have this Jordan Lake. I mean, I think that gets down at like 80 some, but that's very uncommon around here.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
your average is probably
20, 30.
20 to 40.
Yeah,
Yeah,
40 is
that's what I
even
was thinking.
40 might be even pushing it.
Right,
because there's only really no, the Madison chain, a couple of, those get down to a little over 100, and then Green Lake that's around 200, but those are kind of ones that are a bit outside of
right.
the norm.
Gotcha.
Some outliers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like at home, our lake's 120, 150, 180 feet a lot of times, but that's not anything you're fishing. But you got that much water column to deal with when it comes to cooling and warming, et cetera. The sweet spot at home is I would say six. This sounds crazy, 6 to 50. But I can be from that 6 to 50 in about 3 boat lengths. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like now we're not talking about like, oh, it's 150 out in the middle, like 6 to 50 foot is just a couple boat lengths out in the middle of the pocket to get to that. This looks cool too, man. This looks really good. I think this one's gonna be a better lake than the other one, guys.
Could be.
What are
Yeah.
y'all thinking so far?
I'm excited just to go out and try these truly.
Yeah,
I'm
Just
starting to
getting
really like fishing stained water. I think that's kind of becoming one of my. I'm just getting better at it. The clear stuff is where I struggle sometimes,
yeah,
and I don't really a lot. Um I don't fish a lot of clear lakes um currently, but
right.
I'm looking around. You know,
You
so
you know something I found out though is even in the clear lakes, don't be fooled into thinking when you go to a clear lake, okay, now I got to pull out my clear lake stuff. I believe that for a long time that there's a way to take them baits that you're already comfortable with, almost the dang near same colors, same profiles, and transpose them into this.
oh
And
yeah.
who's to say that there's not a section on this lake that's going to be a little bit more clear than the other one? Who's to say? We don't know until you get there. Um, but like, dude, one of my favorite baits to fish like at Lake Hartwell's the next lake down from where you fished at Russell. I've caught my biggest bags at Hartwell have been on a frog. So just think about Lake Russell and imagine catching on a hollow belly frog. It works there. There's always a way that like
Mhm.
nobody's paying attention to. There's always a way. And this one with it having grass and it's got docks. I mean, it's got a lot of docks on it though, guys. I don't see how you can't buzz that buzz bait down the side of some of them those shade pockets with those platforms that's got a hole in it where you see the grass butted up to the thing and there's no grass. Oh my God. I don't see how you would have any problem doing the exact same thing you like doing
Mhm.
on this lake. Are you going to catch as many as somebody with a drop shot or doing something finessey? Maybe not. But if you don't want to do that, then don't do that. Like don't
Mhm.
do it. Don't go around doing that if you don't want to do that. That's what I say. All right. So anything else we need to highlight on this one?
I don't believe so. I'd say the only other Mark, do you have anything?
no, we've covered a lot. I
Oh,
think I'm
yeah.
excited to get out.
Yeah, I guess like the last thing I would say is just anyone who's starting to break down lakes is don't get discouraged if you like break it down and go out and try things, then don't and it doesn't work. Like,
Yeah.
like I look back on like waypoints and stuff I did last year, but now I'm like, what am I think? Like, what was I thinking last year? Like,
Yeah.
I've learned so much within the year about like doing this and like trial and error and like what to look for that, um,
Mhm.
it just it takes some time and some practice.
Yeah. I think what you just said right there is the whole point in doing this. Because if you don't do this and you don't record and document what you think is going to work, then not only are you going when you break down lakes, not only are you going to find the things that may work, but you're also going to find the things that don't work. So now next year, you know not to bother about
Hmm.
all of that stuff. So it seems like a waste of time, but in fishing, finding the things that are unproductive is just productive as finding the things that are productive.
Hmm.
like, like I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times I go to tournaments, guys. Like when I went to Pickwick a couple weeks ago, I found that one thing, and if that I was practiced for 3 days, 3 days, daylight to dark. I found one thing that I really felt confident in, and if that don't work, I'm going to be up doo doo creek. That happens all the time. So yeah, you'll do all this research and you look at all these lakes and oh, I would do this and I would do that. Don't be surprised, like Kevin said, if you get there and like one out of the 10 things works, maybe.
Yeah.
Like one thing works, maybe it's okay. Go with the flow. Go with the flow. You just scratched off all of the 10 things. Now you start over again. Where you get really good is you start this process that we're doing now on the water. That's when you really got it. When you do it on the water. You got to have somewhere to start. So you start with these tablets and Google Earth. That just gives you somewhere to go because it's not worse than showing up and scratching your head like, I don't know, where's the dam at? Oh, I didn't know it was going to be clear. Crap, I wish I bought my chatterbaits. That sucks. Especially for us as older career people. We don't have time.
Hmm.
Like we don't have time. Like some of us, you got to go to games and practice, and you got to go to meetings, and you got to go to here, and then the wife wants you to go on vacation, and you want like you don't have time. So
Hmm.
this gives you a place to start, and it may not seem like it at first, but it's gonna cut out a lot of time, a lot of
Hmm.
time.
For sure.
All right, cool. I think y'all got this whip, man. I like this. I want to do this more. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear from y'all in the chat if anybody else would like to do this with us on the live. And then second of all, I need to know, did you really like this? I got a lot from it because I like to see if people see what I'm seeing because everybody sees the lake completely different. Everybody. I'd love to have two more people decide to fish together. I know Alex and Tim fished together at maybe Falls or something last week. So I'd love to have y'all have a couple more people do this with us beside that. Mark and Kevin, appreciate y'all sharing this with us, man. I
Yeah.
do want to follow up with y'all and see, like in a couple weeks or whenever you get, whenever you finish doing some of this stuff and hear what worked and what didn't. I'd like to revisit this.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
could, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Let's definitely do that. Let's plan on it. Um, Michael, I've been watching the chat. I didn't really see any questions. I saw a lot of conversation. No questions. Did you catch anything?
I just saw somebody, Christopher Bowman, asked about Roosevelt Lake. I just told him I got that written down, so I'll follow up with you to remind you. But I told him
Yeah,
head over to
breaking
Ask
down.
BLAT and
Yeah. So
throw that in the
Christopher, how
community
about
section.
let's do this, Chris? Let you break. You know the process. If you're in the app, you know the process we use. You break down Lake Roosevelt, bring it to us. Let's look at it together, like what we did tonight. Because the process is the process. It's simple. Like my 6-year-old in there, I've been telling him we planned this trip down here to Florida like a month ago, brother. Every day when we get home, Daddy, you think this will work? Daddy, you think this will work? Daddy, you think this will work? He's like watching YouTube videos. He doesn't even know it, but he's doing the same thing we talked about. He's 6. And guess what he taught on when we got out there today? I didn't have to ask him no question. Bruce, what you want to throw? I already got it tied on. Like he's ready. Like he's already had a plan. He's not conscious of it, but as we're adults, we need to be conscious and intentional. about breaking down these places. So let's do this, Chris. Break it down. You already know the process. Look at that lake. Let's look at the menu, see what it has. Where do the fish eat? And then what's going to feel familiar to you? And let's break it down together and bring that to the table, and then let's sift through it, just like what we did with Kevin and Mark here. That's what we want to do. Okay, I think that's it for tonight. I don't think we had any questions. Mainly conversation in the chat. I like this a lot. I got a lot from it. I hope y'all. I'll do a little poll in the thing tomorrow to see if we can do it again. For this week, we have a roundtable on Thursday. I bet. I'm thinking. I'm going to be driving back on Wednesday. I usually try to do something on Wednesdays. I'm going to be driving back home, so I may not be. I don't want to promise you I'll be able to do a live on Wednesday, but I'll do one on Friday. I know we have one scheduled. Friday midday, 12 like lunchtime, 12 Eastern time. You're new to the community, throw your questions and ask BLAC. We'll use them for workshop ideas. Sometimes I just answer them in the chat, and then sometimes we have you here on the live. So throw that in here. Never know how that's going to end up in the app. Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Thanks, Mark and Kevin.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Michael.
All right.
Y'all have a good rest of your night. Appreciate it.
We'll see ya.
You guys too. See ya.
Yes, sir.